Welcome to Behind the Screens, a podcast where we talk to industry experts and the people who make Universal Screens a leader in the world of motorized retractable screens.
Welcome back to another episode of Behind the Screens with Universal Screens. I'm Sean Culbertson, and today joining me is Michael Longoria, Joe Serta, and Chad Banks from Outback Concepts.
Big Chad.
Before we get started, the last set of episodes we did, we had some beer and we did some tasting. We're not going to go into all the tasting, but we had to pour something. So we do have a Garrison Brothers bourbon here, a little Texas bourbon to welcome Chad, who is coming down here from Oklahoma.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. So take it easy on that. So we've got Chad Banks here, and the reason that we've got you here is because you run a very successful family business within our industry. You're one of our best customers, and so we definitely want to dive into that. But before we get into that, tell us how you got started in the industry, how Outback Concepts got started, just a little bit of background about you guys.
Sure. So I've personally been in the business, and really Brandy too, my wife. We've been in the business for about 24 years. I built my first sunroom in 97, just a year out of high school. And that's kind of how I got in the industry of exterior enhancements, home improvements. And just over time, that kind of went over to custom decks, and I learned how to do, the composite decks, the specialty things, screen enclosures, patio covers, carports, stuff like that. And so we just kind of had a combination of things that we did, and but the main thing was sunrooms for so long, and that's really kind of what built us up to what we were. But I say this all the time, we've failed so many times, and I think that's the success that we've gained from it today.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's all there is to it. We have failed, and we have learned from
That's how you
our
learn.
It's how you do it. And anybody that says they just jump into something and run with it, I have a hard time believing that, because it's rough. It's hard out there. But, like I say, 24 years of doing this, Brandy and I have really learned the ins and outs of what we do to get to the point where we're at. Our kids are very, very much involved in what we do. Tyler, Nolan, you guys know them. Now we have our son-in-law working for us, Dylan, and we're relentless in making this work, and that's a hard thing to do. Don't think it's easy, because it's not.
Right. Yeah. And before we dive into that, because that's what we're here today for, is to dive into those family dynamics, because there's others that are listening right now that are going through the same thing. I've got kids that have also spent some time working in the shop, and Joe has kids that are currently working for us. But before we dive into that, you haven't been a customer of ours is referred to as a dealer. Sure. You haven't been a dealer of ours for that long.
No.
But you have been on a just rapid, fast trajectory to the top. I mean, you guys, I met you for the first time, I want to say face-to-face at Pinstack in 2022, so 2019 or 20? 2020, right before the pandemic.
That's right.
So at Pinstack, at one of our events, you guys came down to the seminar. You'd already been selling, but that's where I met you face-to-face. That's where you said that you guys were going to take this thing to the moon, and you guys are getting close. You guys chose us. We sell product for you guys, to you guys, but how has that relationship been?
It's been great. I think for us, where we're at located wise, it's the simplistic part of it. You guys are just down the road from us, and I know that not everybody can say that. We understand that, but I don't know. I met Joe in a Home Depot parking lot.
That was our first meeting.
Our first meeting.
Was he selling speakers?
I tried to sell some speakers.
Yeah. And exactly. But I don't know. There was just something that just stuck out to me. And he was very informative. He was very welcoming. We barely knew each other. And just still to this day, I feel like I can pick up the phone and call Joe, and I'll get a smile on the other side of the line. And I know he's got to go through stressful stuff just like the rest of us, and people, customers and this and that. We know it. We get it. But for some reason, Joe just keeps going.
Yeah.
I've talked to Michael. It's the team, and we feel that we kind of have something very similar with what we do.
Yeah.
And I think that relationship is kind of what has made it for us very easy to come to Universal Screens, because your customer service, I've told you guys this, is out of this world. It really is. And that's very, very appealing to me. We're relentless in what we do, and we kind of feel like you guys are taking the bull by the horns, and we want to be part of that.
Awesome.
And that's why we're here.
Well, we'll touch base. I kind of skipped over it. How did you first start selling the product, and how did it bring you? Like, how did you find us?
So funny thing, we've been doing screen enclosures forever, and anybody that's in the building screen enclosure business knows that you can wear out your hands and knuckles, and you'll have cruddy, joints in no time. And I think if I remember right, a customer asked me about putting some sort of a Cool Breeze type screen up that, we could buy from Lowe's and Home Depot. And I remember putting one up, and it didn't go very well. It didn't last very long, we'll say. And then I got to seeing, other dealers at home and garden shows, because that's really all we did for so long, and we still do, was seeing these retractable screens. I'm like, interesting. How can I make my life easier? Well, after investigating, and I'm a literature junkie. I want to learn, and I want to read, and I want to know how, and it's relatively a new type product to the industry of home improvements.
Yep.
It really is. So I kind of thought, well, man, maybe we better jump on this before everybody else does. So I looked around, and obviously your competition have reached out to me, and I've talked to plenty of them, and reading and kind of figuring out the parts and the pieces of it. And I just figured that this was the most simple, elegant, cleanest looking setup, bar none. I truly feel that way, that this is the cleanest. This is what I would put on my home.
Yeah.
Those other guys, I'm not appealed to it.
Right.
So.
Well, we appreciate everything that you've said.
Yeah.
It was great advertisement for us.
Right.
He's not getting paid.
Yeah.
But I say that because I'm excited, and you guys know me by now. I just once I feel it, you got me. I'm all in.
Yeah.
But that's great that you can find a product that actually helps you get your installers on the job and get out of there faster. I mean, you're making more money. I mean, it's good that you're not having to work so much harder.
On top of that, you hit the nail on the head, because I now feel like I don't have to be out in the field all the time stressing out about how are these guys going to figure out. I mean, my boys have installed way more. I would, I might mess up. I may screw something up. Been doing this for a long time, and I'm a problem solver, but man, Tyler, Nolan, Dylan, they knock this stuff out. And it's a type of product where I feel like I can go out there and sell it. And if we all think the same, kind of like probably what you guys have to do sometimes, if we all think the same, it should go by pretty well.
Yeah.
And I have that helps me sleep at night.
Well, it's good. It's been a pleasure working with you guys. I've gotten over the last month to spend some time with you, and your wife and your kids as well, and learn a little bit more. And I'm not afforded that opportunity with everyone, but I really enjoyed my time hanging out with you guys last month.
We did as well.
So that's the thing here. That's what we brought you in for, was this family dynamic, because it doesn't always work. I know that when I got married and I was offered the opportunity to move from Houston to Dallas to work in the family business, my dad said, don't do it. Don't do it. You don't want to do the family business, because what if something goes wrong? How do you get out of it? Different things. And I said, hey, I'll go and I'll do it. And I said, when it fails, I'll go get a real job. And that was 2002.
Here you are today,
2021, still intertwined with the family. But your dynamic is quite different, because the person that runs your company, you may say, the person that runs your company is your wife.
That's been said by lots of behind the scenes people, because they see it.
So the head honcho at Outback Concepts is your wife, Brandy, but then you also have two sons and now a son-in-law running the installation. Are they also running appointments on the sales calls as well?
Yeah, Tyler actually does part-time sales too. I mean, I got to say, he's 23 years old, and it's amazing. He's kind of been my project, if you will, and I just can't be more proud. I mean, it almost kind of, if I could cry or bring up a tear, I would. But if you know me, and maybe I'll share with you a little bit kind of my past, but it's remarkable. I couldn't be more proud of all my boys.
Yeah.
But and they're coming too, because I gave all my attention to Tyler, with knowing that Nolan was right behind him, and now that Dylan's part of the team, they're all 3 different personalities, and so that's a challenge in itself too.
Yeah.
But we've learned to adapt. Brenny and I, we're kind of, we butt heads a lot, because we're like, she has an idea, I have an idea, and we may scream and yell at each other, but there's no give up. Yeah. We've been married for almost 25 years now. We're high school sweethearts. Yeah. And that has something to do with our success today too.
Yeah,
oh, absolutely.
It really does.
Absolutely.
We 3 kids. I lived in 15 different houses by the time I was 18 years old. My dad left when I was 7 years old. Left my mother, my brother and sister behind. I had to figure shit out. Excuse me with that, right. But I had to figure things out. And it's funny, because all those houses, one thing I always remember was taking things apart and putting them back together. I had to do that. I'd take all the beds apart, the furniture apart, all that stuff to move into the next house. Now, you may say, well, that's a lot of houses, but I mean, we were poor. I mean, we didn't have a whole lot. My mom worked 3 jobs, and it was just one of those things where I was just determined to do something different. And I never thought I'd be where I'm at. Not that where I'm at's just huge, but it's huge to me. It's a huge mountain that I have had to climb.
Yeah, but
go ahead.
I was going to say, it says a lot about you, because, I mean, I think you'll find the most successful people are the ones that had to work harder as a kid. Yeah.
I was just going to say that. It's like similar situation. You were raised poor, and made you a better man, a hard worker, and that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, the American dream is for you to have your own home, and you want to run your own business, and you're doing all that, and no reason to compare to anyone else. You guys are doing an unbelievable job. It's incredible what you've built and where it's going, and it's in good hands, because I've met the boys, and right. It's going in the right direction, and if, you're doing an awesome job. Maybe it's in better hands going forward, because they've had all that experience, that you didn't have at that age.
Well, I want to touch on something. So, what age did your kids start working with you? And so we all know your sons.
Yeah.
They're wild.
Yes.
If you want to know, look at Facebook, look at the Outback. They've done some wild commercials. You'll see the sons doing some crazy things, ATVs and all kinds of different things. But was there a certain point where you had to, did you struggle to tell them to tone it down in the business, or was it just kind of natural, they knew this is work? Or
yeah, no, we don't believe in dialing it down. I am a firm believer in you work extremely, extremely hard. You give it your all, but you dang sure better play just as hard. Yep. And you guys know that's how we work.
Hard,
that's how we do it. Yeah. And I think, my wife, Brandy, her dad, he was a great man. He worked 3 jobs. He was a hard worker. That's all he ever did was work. He never got to enjoy life. And in his latter part of his life, and he passed July 4th of, I think, 2014, and I could tell that he was miserable in that aspect, that he had put a good amount of money away, but what's living life if you can't enjoy it?
Yeah.
And so if you can do all that at the same time, that's an accomplishment. But anyways, my boys, my kids, including my daughter Bailey, they've been walking my job site since they were in diapers. Literally. And the boys, same thing. I kind of was always weird about letting people do things, because I'm that guy that, get out of my way.
It's got to be done right.
Do it.
I'll be honest with you.
If I do it, it's going to get done right. Yeah.
I'll be honest. I think that I was probably not the best teacher in what I've taught my kids. And they will all tell you that I'm high strung, and I'm crazy this and crazy that, and I'm go, and Dad, chill out, and because I know that is me, but I'm I feel like I'm running out of time. Does that make sense? like I want to keep going and keep going. I mean, the sky is the limit, of course, but
do you think someday it's just going to slow down and you want to
I don't want this to stop. I want to keep going and going and going. And so, well, that's why I feel I've told you guys, I feel like I'm part of your team now, and I want to see you guys grow exponentially. Like, that's exciting to me. And so I feel like I'm a part of your team. I'm a branch of your team by doing what I do in Oklahoma City. Yeah. And it's amazing how it's gone to this point. I think it's amazing how it's going to be from this point.
So tell us on a day-to-day basis for those that are listening that work with family as well, because it's not easy.
God.
Yeah. So you've gotten up, and I don't know if you drink coffee, but you've gotten up and you've got that coffee, and now you got to report to the head honcho. You got to report to Brandy and find out maybe what's going on with the day. But you also got to get your boys in line with what's going on. Like, I can guess that today you can pull back, whereas before you had to kind of micromanage the boys and make sure they're doing things. But how does that work? How does that dynamic work with the boys? And you mentioned kind of letting them go for a little bit, letting them fail as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I wake up at most mornings at 5:30, cranking up the coffee, and I've promoted Tyler to our production manager, and he's over 2 full-time crews, and he's actually the 3rd crew because he's still out there installing. And I've told him, I said, listen, I told you I was going to test you, and that's what we're doing right now. So let's push ourselves. And you're not going to like me, and sometimes you're going to go, dang, Dad, chill, man. But you're kind of my experiment in where I need you to be. And failure is not an option. While you will fail along the way, the ultimate goal we're not going to fail at. And so we just, Brandy and I argue. We're husband and wife, but we're co-owners of this business too, and we know where the future of this business is going to go. It's going to pass along to our kids. It's not easy, but while I've said about my beginnings of where I've come from, there's no give up. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. I may not be as successful as where I want to be, but I will be successful at something.
Yeah. There's no failure in your life.
There's just there can't be. Yeah. I won't sleep at night. I'll lose my mind, and I have to do some extra things just to chill myself out. Sometimes just to relax. Go to bed, sleep at night, wake up in the morning, do it all over again.
Yeah, you don't see it a lot with a younger generation, and I'm not. It's just a different generation, and I'm a different generation than my father, and that work ethic that was instilled in that generation is, you work, and you mentioned, growing up poor, and your kids don't have to go through that. No. But I've met your kids, and they have that work ethic. And I know it's a direct reflection of you and Brandy and how they were raised, but that's just an admirable thing to see. Those guys, like, they've come here without you, and they've talked the same way you talk about the business. They talk about the business as well.
Very passionate.
That's admirable from my position to see how much they're going to put into it, knowing that we've got a customer that is going to continue to grow. When you and Brandy go off in the sunset in your Harleys, we know that business is going to continue to thrive and grow.
Yep. Well, that's just it. We can leave for a 4-day weekend, and we are truly comfortable in knowing when we leave that the boys are going to keep working. And we always say this: collect those checks.
Yeah.
Collect those checks, because we don't get to do what we do if we don't collect those checks. But we're on the phone a lot. Don't get us wrong. And I don't. My wife doesn't get enough credit for what we do too. I'll tell you, because she's a complete rock star. She actually works a full-time job.
Yeah.
Outside of Outback.
That's amazing.
Think about that.
Yeah.
She works for the state.
I did not know that.
I just found that out last month. Yeah.
She works for the state, and she is a full-time employee for them. And she does work from home, and she does report to them once a day or one time a week. But
so what do you do?
Yeah, I know. Well, I have to ask myself that sometimes. What's my role now? I kind of forgot. Oh, well, be that guy that gets on everybody's nerves, and okay, you can go move along, Dad. But yeah, Brandy is. I think she's definitely a rare breed. It's amazing what she does, because she takes that Outback Concepts phone and it rings off the hook. And there's times where we don't walk out. Our office is in our home. We don't walk out of the office till 10 o'clock at night. And our favorite place to sit every evening is on our patio. We crank up the propane fire pit. We turn on the TV. We watch the news. We talk about the day's happenings, resolve issues. That is our back patio. That's our office. That's our conference room.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me ask you that, because I have this situation. While my wife doesn't work here for Universal, she does do work for Universal, but she's not technically here, every day, and we don't see each other at the workplace every day.
Right.
But when I get home, I got to flip a switch.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to talk about business. How does that work in your house?
Yeah, that doesn't happen with us.
Yeah.
It doesn't. As much as we would like it to, I do have to go in the office and tell Brandy, shut it off. Because she's confirming appointments, and I get it, and that's part of what we have to do. But Brandy's always thinking a step ahead, and that's one reason I love her to pieces. I mean, she's my wife, and not only is she my wife, but I'm lucky to have her as my business partner, and then my kids. They're all on par with where we need to be, and I couldn't be thrilled more to death at where we're at.
Yeah, it's impressive to see what you guys have done. And you're doing it all internally for the most part.
Yeah.
But I know that your sites are set to grow, and I know there's no more kids lined up to do that, and you're going to have to probably hire from outside of the family.
Yeah.
But rather than get into that, I'd like to know, like, what are you guys planning to do? Not lay out your plans for, but what are your expectations as far as Outback Concepts in the next 3 to 5 years? I mean, how are you guys looking to really get bigger, or are you guys kind of comfortable where you're at?
No.
All right.
No. But, you've heard me say this a couple of times. I say it often, take over the world.
Yeah.
That's our mentality. We want to take over the world, and it may be a small world, but we're taking over something.
Yeah.
We're going to push and push and push till we can't push no more. And that's going to take a lot of stressful nights, stressful times, probably getting on these guys' nerves, saying, hey, let's try this, let's try. I know that we've asked for things that are impossible to do, but can we get close? Can we get close? And that's we push the limit if we can. But yeah, we want to expand. We want to go.
That's
and
great.
If it's part of the bigger picture of being part of something else, we're game. We're all for it. Whether it's, supporting you guys, supporting other dealers out there, helping them out. We're on the team. We're ready. We're team players. And we learn that with our personal business as a family. We are a team. We realize that it's the old saying, teamwork makes the dream work. We all use it. We all say it. But do you really, really, really know what that means? Are you truly a team player? Because as a family, we do have to tell each other every now and then, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that. And there's many times, like on the way down here, I chewed Nolan's ass. I got into him, and I had him, he was drawing some tears, and I kind of thought, did I get my message across to him? Well, I got going down the road, headed this way, because we came up last night. We had to do some service calls in an area, and I called him. I said, Nolan, are you still on? Of course, Dad. I said, okay, I love you.
Yeah.
Build the best screen enclosure you've built to date on the job you're doing right now. You got it, Dad. Okay, I love you. We'll talk to you later. So I had to slow down, revamp the way I approached it, because my kids do know, and my wife know I'm wired. I'm like, go. I'm passionate, because I've tried the family thing with my brothers, because I have 2 brothers, and I've tried it with them, and it's impossible. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
Probably because they grew up the same way I did. Well, my older brother did. My other brother's a half brother, but it didn't work.
Yeah.
I mean, I've pissed off my brother. He's pissed me off, and he's thrown a bag of screws at me and just yada this and yada that. And while Nolan and Tyler still have the brother battle, we just deal with it. We just go. And I guess there's just no room for fighting to the point to where you just separate. You're going to fight, you get it over with, and you move on, right?
Yeah, I mean, you just got to know it's all about business. It's nothing personal. I think we have the same thing here. Sometimes we get on each other's nerves. Sometimes somebody will snap, but at the end of the day, it's not personal,
No.
So And we see that in your family, you know. I mean, and that's great that they can accept it. And but I think it says a lot because going forward, I mean, when they have kids, I mean, they may treat their kids the same way, and you know.
Well, that's the big step that that you are addressing, that to your son, and just to make sure that he knows, like, hey, this is what happened yesterday, but at the end of the day, we're still on the same page. And, and we're all men, and it's sometimes hard to break that rough facade of, and to tell someone like, hey man, sorry, but we got to get this done. We got to do it a certain way.
I have no clue. I had no clue how to be a father. I mean, I've already told you, I just didn't know. I had a stepdad growing up. He was a hard ass. I didn't like him. I love him today. We're more friends than we are, son and stepdad. It's just, I didn't know how to be a father. And so over time, and even still to this day, I'm having man, should I have said that? Or man, that wasn't cool? Or, Brandon, I'm sorry.
You're not the only one. I've got 6 kids, and
I hate it.
Yeah, there's times where I'll say something or snap, and I'm like, I was too hard, but nobody taught me. I mean, you just got to kind of go with it. So, but honestly, I mean, we've all met your kids. You're doing a fantastic job.
Well, thank you.
Definitely. Well, Brandy is.
Yeah. She's keeping us all in line. That's for sure. And
both of you are great parents.
Well,
really
thank you.
So.
Thank you. And I try to get her up here to kind of make sure she kept me in check. And but she's here supporting me.
Yeah. No, the dynamic of working with your kids is a difficult one because, I mean, they're your kids, and so you want to go a certain route with them. And then now you're at a business, which means everything to you. And now they're involved, and I'm dealing with that, but I've got teenagers that have come in the summer. And so it's easy, but even with them, it was, hey, Cadence, my daughter, you're going to do this. I am not your boss. This is your boss. You do what they tell you to do. And the same with Dylan. Dylan, you're going to work in the back. You deal with them, not with me. Don't come to me with anything. Because I don't want to cross that line.
Yeah.
You have to cross those lines. And Joe he's in a position
Give him some pointers,
that
please.
we've got to make some changes because, we're in a corporate environment, and he has a son that is a sales rep and another son is in support that kind of report to him. And that's difficult. I don't want to put any of them in that situation going forward. So we're going to make some changes about who reports to whom. But it is if I've got an issue,
dynamic. I mean, when it comes to work, of course, not your kids aren't gonna have the same work ethics that we have, but
you have
they're
to
growing. They're growing up to that.
Yeah.
I mean,
so you have adult children. I have adult children. It's you do separate the two, but at the same time, it's impossible to do that. So you have to make it part of your everyday life. You just have to understand that. Hey, listen, I love you. I love you. You're my kid. This is how it's all going to work. But listen, we're also a team, part of a bigger picture. We have to make this work, not just for ourselves, but for other people too.
Exactly.
You're building an army. And, just like if I'm going to war with somebody, I want to go to war with people I trust. And what better than your family?
Right.
And not, it doesn't even have to be blood. I mean, we're just,
like, we're not blood here, we're family here.
Yeah. I've connected with all 3 of you guys on a different level, separately, talking to you guys. And you're my kind of people, and that's why I'm telling you. That's why I've told you over and over, I'm bought in. I don't get that with other suppliers. I don't. I've seen so many bad customer service conditions. It aggravates the piss out of me. It ain't right. And man, I'm here, guys.
Thank you. We truly appreciate all the kind words you've bestowed upon us, and it's awesome to watch your kids grow up through the business, and I look forward to seeing what happens with them. Hearing your story, it's great. I mean, we got you here today because we were talking. We're like, man, I think it'd just be fun. We just had similar. We've talked about all of this in a different setting, and just now we threw some mics in front of us.
Right.
But I think other people would enjoy hearing that. And as with every podcast, as we try to wrap this one up, and we try to hit on a topic, and I know the topic was about family, but you said something about we don't dial it down, and you were specifically talking about the Banks family, and that's great. But I also think that just applies to all of us. Don't dial it down. Be who you are. Attack everything with that passion. And don't dial it down. Just let's go after it and see what we get. You know.
Yeah.
But it was a pleasure having you on.
Do a quick cheers.
Yeah, we can do a cheers. I was sipping on this,
I was waiting for the cheers, man.
We'll do a cheers out here. So, but thanks for having you on.
Absolutely.
Thank you for being on with us. So that wraps up this episode with Chad Banks from Outback Concepts, one of our biggest customers based out of Oklahoma. It was a pleasure having you on, and we'll catch you on the next episode. So take care. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Behind the Screens. Don't forget to follow us on your favorite podcast player and leave us a review.